What's up, YouTube? I guess you can call this a follow-up of my plumbing test. For those of you who've seen my video before, I checked my plumbing to make sure I didn't have any leaks or water coming out of anything or any of these valves, hoses, whatnot. It's been running for about 2 weeks. Everything seems to be up and running, so it's ready for salt. I'm not sure when I'm going to do it yet because I'm still in the process of building. And with that in mind, I kind of wanted to make this video to show what I did and why I did it and future plans for this tank. For those of you who might be considering getting into the hobby, you know, this is my first saltwater tank that I'm actually building and doing myself with a sump. The tank that you see behind me in the reflection, that one actually has a I'm 2217 canister running on it. I'll show you that tank in a bit. But I just, you know, wanted to let the viewers know what I did and how I've been going along. I've been building this tank for probably about a good 4 months now, and it's because I've been researching and watching other videos on YouTube. And big ups to my guy New York Stilo. I haven't actually asked him any questions yet, but I watched a ton of his videos, and he taught me a lot. So for those of you who might want to check him out, he's New York Stilo, S-T-E-E-L-O. Check out his videos. They're very informational. I mean, he helped me out a lot. So big ups to you, man. I hope you get to see this. One day we were walking through the fish store and we saw this tank, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It's a 90 gallon with a built-in corner overflow, rated for 700 gallons an hour, but let me tell you, it does a little more than 700, but I'll get into that right now. You can see my little jellyfish floating around in there. He's kind of like indicating my flow in the tank for now before I put the salt in it. This way I know I got the proper flow and everything moving around, but you can see his legs are moving and he's going around swirling, so I think we're good. Oh, with this tank and stand, it had a black finish, but I wanted to upgrade. I gave it 2 more coats and 3 more coats on the inside and painted over screws and stuff like that so nothing would rust, and it came out pretty nice. I used this Bear Premium Plus Ultra. It's got a deep base, semi-gloss, black. It came out really nice. So for those of you who are wondering what kind of paint, I just used some outdoor paint that's water resistant, so you know, in time my wood won't swell up and get all nasty. And you know, these stands are expensive. This was like a $400 stand, and you know, with water constantly being around it, you just want to make sure it gets painted, and you know, because it gets in nooks and crannies, and over time they'll start to swell and your tank will end up looking like it's sitting like this, and you don't want that, you know. I also painted the back. I just put some masking tape down this little stretch here so that I can watch my overflow to see what gets back there, and you know, if it gets dirty, and you know, you just clean it out and be able to see everything would be better. Some people don't like to look at it. They'll just paint over it too, just to look at it less, but it's going to be against the wall, so what's the big deal? It's easier to look back there when there's no paint on it. And the back, you can see I added 2 panels. These panels weren't originally there. I do demolition, so you know, one day we were knocking down a house, and the house had a nice closet, so these little panels are actually oak, which go with the oak stand. Painted them with the same paint, you know, screwed them on there, and they came out pretty good. This one here is actually to block the noise from the sump, and this one's going to be for my electronics that I'm going to screw on the other side. And I left the opening here so that I'm not completely blocking it off from air, you know, getting in there and exchanging and getting the fresh air. But I'm actually going to put an exhaust fan so I can pull the heat out from the equipment and keep the equipment running cool instead of forcing air in, which will also keep, you know, if you got cats or dogs, it'll keep hair out. And as you can see, I'm trying to keep hair out, so I'm going to put an exhaust fan there and have a little screen custom built so nothing floats in there, and hopefully just try to keep as much hair out as I can. But I am going to put an exhaust fan there. Let's start with here. This is the Marine Land overflow kit that came with the tank, and let me tell you, it runs really great. It's a beautiful piece of work. Only thing is, I did a couple changes to it. Here is the hole so it can create a siphon when the water begins to go down. It had like a straw coming out of it. It was loud and annoying, so I just took it off. And let me tell you, with the power outage test, you really don't need that, because water never really goes over that hole. So and it made it super quiet. The siphon break on the return, however, this where you can see that plastic tube coming out, the air hose, there's a siphon break hole. I don't know if you can see it from here. There it is. There's a siphon break hole there, and water shoots out of that at the same time. So you can hear it splashing against this wall, and it got really annoying. So I stuck a little tube, ran it across, not too long, just enough to get it over the wall. So the noise is virtually just gone. I mean, I got this phone right next to it, and everything in the apartment is shut off, and you can't even hear this tank. It is awesome. Oh, this here, I actually got it at Menards. It's a 2-inch screen. What I did was I wanted this piece to be as large as I could, and the 1.5 was really small. So I cut slivers right there, and the other two was 4 slivers, which actually got me to cut the size down 1/2 inch and keep this bigger screen. And I cut some of the teeth out. I drilled holes in the bottom, and it, just prevents snails and crabs and little things from getting down there and causing a mess in your sump by dying in your skimmer area. So this was a pretty good do-it-yourselfer. 2-inch at Menards, just cut it down. It fits into the 1.5 perfectly. Saves a few bucks too, because it was only like $3 or $4. Back to the tank. Down here, like I said, I want to explain what I did, and it's all 1-inch PVC piping done by myself. Took a lot of trips to Menards back and forth and changing ideas and trying to improve and make it look more sleek, and just patience and going back and forth. It costs more money, but in the long run it looks pretty. So put a ball valve there coming down in case I need to just shut it off and do some work to the sump and take it out or whatnot. Makes life a lot easier having the 2 unions there, so that your tank can actually come free from the sump, but you still have those sticking out. As long as you put the tank on its side or upside down, you shouldn't have to worry about those pipes if you ever have to move or remove it or whatever you have to do. I was trying not to get any bends, but unfortunately it didn't line up with the sump in the position that I wanted it, so I had to put 2 45s, and I got it dropping down into a filter sock. I tried running without the filter sock, but without the filter sock I got thousands and millions of micro bubbles, and I didn't want to look at that. It was so unsightly in the display tank, and stuff like that just causes problems over time. So I'm gonna run it with the filter sock for now, unless I can think of something that will improve it. You can see there is the same thing I got inside there, but it's just a little bit longer. This is actually for the recirculation of the return water. I'll get into that. So it comes into the skimmer section here as it drops down. This is Trigger Systems Ruby 30 sump. It is a beautiful, strong, sturdy sump, rated for a 150-gallon display tank. It's about 18 gallons at operation. I actually filled it up a little bit higher to help with the micro bubbles, so I probably got it at about like 19 or 20 gallons, but my skimmer section and refugium still is at 10.5 inches, which is perfect for the skimmer that I want to put in this section here. The skimmer that I'm going with, given the space and what I want to do, I want to have coral and fish, so I'm going to oversize my skimmer with a Reef Octopus Extreme / Diablo 225. It's rated for 225 gallons, but let me tell you, sometimes you wish you had a stronger skimmer. But I think it should do the job for what I want to do. Not going to go too many fish, but I do plan on having a lot of coral, so I want to make sure it's nitrate and phosphate free as possible. Other nice thing about this sump is that it has probe holders. I don't know how well you can see them, but there they are. It's got 3 probe holders. As an awesome addition to this sump, so it stops you from having to buy those little clips and suction cups and stuff like that to stick it on the side. What's great about this sump too is that its water goes through this wall at the middle instead of at the top. Most of your bubbles raise up and go into the refugium, so what Trigger Systems did was made a sliver through the middle, which reduces a lot of bubbles, and with the filter sock you pretty much get rid of all of them. So it comes through here into your refugium. This refugium's not too large, but large enough to get some nice growth of some chaetomorpha. It's about 15 inches wide from lip to lip on the little edges. I think it's about 12 inches, so you don't need to get too big of a light. Wasn't sure if I'm going to hang a light down and have it hanging over little mini metal halide or go with LED, but most likely I'm going to go with LED, but I haven't decided what kind of light I'm going to use. Comes through here, it's kind of blocked, but it comes through here, those little slivers, goes through a media rack, and there's a second rack right there that you can put, but I put them both together here. You can add carbon or whatever you want to add, maybe some Fosband, but I wouldn't recommend that. Fosband probably better off inside of a reactor, but you can put a lot of carbon down there. There's plenty of space. I mean, it's pretty huge, and also a great idea by Trigger Systems. Back here I got a Mag 18, and a lot of people would say a Mag 18 looks kind of big for that size tank, but let me tell you, I wish I would have got the Mag 24. And I put those little pieces of masking tape there just to keep an eye on my water level, because on this sump, actually, this section is the only section that raises and lowers when water is missing. So if you put an ATO system, an auto top off, you're going to have to keep it in this section over here, because this is the only section that actually fluctuates up and down. So the Mag 18 comes up. I got a ball valve here and a union here, just in case the pump breaks, fails, or I want to upgrade, or whatever problems I may run into. It's a quick fix. Unscrew it and put the new one in. So, and I didn't put any glue on the pump, so I just put it on tight by hand. So if I ever have to change it, I can salvage everything. Comes up to a 90 degree elbow and shoots straight across, and it's perfectly level. I put a level on it, so I'm getting pretty nice flow through it. It's about 5 feet ahead and 7 feet of tube on its way up, plus these T's that I put here with the ball valves. Now these three in the front are all 1/2 inch. I intend on running UV and reactors off of them, and I got this one over here. Sometime in the future I might add a chiller. It's got a 3/4 inch barb, and these are 1/2 inch barbs. So it just comes up into a T, splits again into a T, one over, one over. Pretty simple. Put an extra union there and an extra union there in case any of these connections spring a leak, or you're twisting the valve one day and you turn it too hard, or something happens and you get a leak somewhere, starts spraying out water. It's a quick fix with the unions. So, the unions provide you with repairing the plumbing fast when there's a problem. So in this one here, I intend on running a UV sterilizer. Not sure what the wattage, 8 or 15. I'm not going to go too big because I'm going to run a reef tank and I don't want to kill everything. And this one here, I'm going to run carbon, and this one here, I'm going to run Fosband. I'm going to run 2 little fishy 150 reactors on it. I'm going to have them come in here, and you can see my tube kind of blends in with the black, which is nice. And I have them over here just for the water test. But I'm going to have the tubes running across to the back here, and the reactors are going to be hanging here, and the chiller here. So all my equipment will be under the stand, nice and neat. Also, I'm not going to keep this hose. This is just cheap plastic hose, black hose, They always kink up, as you can see. Here is living proof. So after I saw that, I ran out and bought some of this. This stuff will basically not kink, whether you want it to kink or not. With the pressure I'm going to be running on it, I should be perfectly fine and never have to worry about it. So, as you can see, that is the plumbing and the reason why I did it. I have all these extensions to run a UV, a carbon reactor, a Fosband reactor, and a chiller. And that is the reason why I think I'm going to upgrade to a Mag 24. If I ever do decide to get that chiller, if and when, this is definitely gonna become a Mag 24. Also, nice thing about this mag is I got a little rubber mat on the bottom of it, so there's basically no vibration, no noise, nothing coming out of it. My tank is really, really quiet, and I'm proud of it. This here was also put in as kind of like a safety for the display tank if it started to overflow, if the pump was too strong, because I can actually shut all these off and the display tank can handle the water that the 1800 is pushing up. Now let me tell you, it's pretty impressive. Now that's why I mean that overflow handles a lot more water than you think it can handle, because with everything closed up, even with the recirculation closed up, the overflow kit up there it handles it like a monster. I mean, it's just swallowing it down, and I ain't got to worry about it. So that's also great to know, anybody out there. So I got 5 feet of head and 7 feet of plumbing. A Mag 18 would be perfectly fine on a 90-gallon Marineland overflow kit. This here, like I said, it was put for the emergency. Now, what's nice about it is I can open it and I can recirculate some of the water. I'm not going to leave it that open, but that's just to get the air out. And you can just let it trickle a little bit, you know. And a little bit of your water that went through your skimmer, went through your refugium and your reactors, comes back around, and then it gets let back down for a double cleaning. Now they say too much speed inside of your sump will stop everything from being cleaned, so I figured with a big pump, why not let it recirculate? So if I put a Mag 24 and it's seeming to go too fast through the sump, at least a little bit's getting recirculated, and I'll be fine, because the Reef Octopus 225 is actually rated for 1,000. Oh, it's got a Italian 1,000 pump PSK or something like that. It's rated for more gallons than, I think it's like 880 actually. It's rated for more gallons than the overflow can push in. So I just wanted to make sure it was grabbing water fast enough before it just zipped by it and not got clean. So, and then I, put unions in case, anything happens. Goes back up. So I hope I explained the refugium and the sump and the return and everything nice and clear, why it looks the way it looks. Everything has a purpose. Everything was planned. And let me tell you, I did a lot of nights of just staring and staring and staring and staring and staring and staring until I came up with this. And that is why I'm proud of it. You take your time, you do it right, and I believe this is going to pretty much run forever, probably until I die, unless something wears out or breaks. I mean, that's always a possibility. You can't rule that out, but it's pretty much built to last. Trigger systems, big ups to you on your sumps. They are great. Also, back to the probe holders. See, I got to put this panel here to keep the noise of the sump from escaping out of the back of the stand, so it kind of makes the room a little more quiet. And this one over here, I plan on buying a Reef keeper and installing it, real nice and neat and professional. I'm going to make a little cardboard template and map everything out before I actually start screwing stuff to my wood, because I want to, I don't want to make a bunch of holes and make it look ugly. I'm just trying to keep it clean. Call it OCD, but I want it to look beautiful. And with that in mind, the Reef Keeper comes with a temperature probe and a pH probe, and the Reef Keeper Elite actually going to add an ORP module to it too, which I do intend on putting an ORP, because I'm going to hang a little ozone thing here on this wall, and the 3 probes can actually all fit in the sump, and I won't have to worry about them floating away or moving or getting damaged by something and being knocked around by the skimmer or something. I don't know, it's nice. So I also intend on getting the MP40s by Ecotech Systems, and I'm going to put the wave makers hanging up here. I'll probably install me a little working light up at the top right next to the fan, and then I'm going to put a screen. So basically it'll be sealed off by the equipment that I'm going to put here, but the fan will keep the air circulating. And I also plan on putting a screen all the way across the bottom just to keep the cat hair, dog hair out, whatever. So that's basically what this is going to look like when I'm done. I hope I'm successful and everything plans out, or works out the way I planned. Which also brings me to another point. This here is what came with the Marine Land overflow kit. And actually, this is an extra segment I added. It was only about where my thumb's at, and that's how it stuck out of the return pipe. Now, it seemed like the water, let me grab my crate just so it's a little easier. It just seemed like the water was coming out and then being blown back in. I didn't like that at all. It was kind of like, you know, what about the water over here? You know, it's not getting circulated at all. So I went out, I put another segment on it. I bought a couple segments just so I can put it where I want. I'm not 100% definite that I'm going to keep it in this position. This was just more of a test. This here is called an eductor. Now this eductor is awesome. Let me tell you, I got way more random flow. I mean, and it's strong. It comes down into a little point and it sprays the water out like a jet, and it pulls the water from around it and sucks it in with the jet and sprays out that kind of a bell looking nozzle. And you can see there it creates little tornadoes and little twisters in the water, so you can tell that the flow is being spun around, and it's just creating all kinds of good things. As you can see, he made his way back over here. Let me just show you how strong this thing is. Grab him, and I'm going to drop him down in front of it. He got shot straight across. He comes up, and he eventually makes his way back. And he starts coming back this way, creeping slowly. I don't want to bore you watching a fake jellyfish though. But this thing is awesome. Let me tell you, with the Mag 18 and all the reactors, it helps create the pressure and gives me a little more flow, especially because I have all that stuff hooked up down there. Here's a little diagram for those of you who don't completely understand how it works. You can see here, these are pieces of lock line. It comes into that little spray nozzle piece, and it's like a little bell that goes around it, and then the little bell allows water to go through here, which mixes with the return water, and it just creates super good random flow. It's called an eductor. It's made by CPR. I picked it up at my local fish store. I tried looking for it online. I couldn't find it. Reptile House on Orland or Tinley Park, Illinois. If you need them, they got them. So I plan on making this, you know, my dream tank. I'm gonna call it my Ferrari, because I am not going cheap. I'm gonna make sure it has what it needs so it can be filled with coral and fish, and just basically put whatever the hell I want in my tank, because it's gonna be my dream tank basically. Which brings me to this one. This was my dream tank, but I realized I want to go bigger. Bigger is always cooler and better, and just everything. Bigger the better, obviously. The saying's true. But this is how it all started.